Good afternoon. This is my assessment task 2 for diverse learning communities, cultural plunge. My interview was with a family friend. Her name is Elena. She's from a middle class background. She attended Catholic schools, and after talking to her about her schooling, she told me that she didn't experience any discrimination or othering. She said that the majority of students in her school were of European background, and that as they were the majority, most students were well behaved and there was a lack of bullying in regards to race. While reflecting on my own schooling life, I see similarities in the fact there were no judgment in regards to people's race, only difference in the way people portrayed and held themselves. Elena also talked about the lack of difference between those with an economic status and those who were middle class. There were not a lot of students who were in the low class, and according to Bordeaux's theory, it's not just about money, it's about who you connect with in your social, your economical, and your cultural capital. Your social regards to the links and connections within your community and the teams that you're a part of. Your economic status refers to the money and the electronics you can own, and your cultural is how you dress for success and you use your words to impress those around you. Which also looked at the social patterns and power relations within the theory. Although it is shown that those with a lower economic status and lack of money are greatly impacted in their studies, this wasn't the case for her schooling life. She was a middle class student who was very driven in her schooling life. Her rivalry with her fellow students and her friendship with her good close friends drove her to obtaining academic achievements and assisting other students, which helped become key experiences and positive experiences while she was at school. This cultural capital that was gained from her schooling life will be seen forever as a very positive experience and very knowledgeable gain for her. The democratic values that Elena had learnt from her schooling life and friends and fellow students will be unforgettable and forever perceived as part of her student identity. This allowed me to reflect on my own schooling life and see that I also had very similar ways in which I was taught and the ways I was treated, and allows me to look toward my teaching future and see the pedagogies that I will help enact in my own classroom. It also allowed me to look at Maslow's theory. I have established that self-transcendence is the only way to be a caring, intrinsic, and happy teacher, which will allow me to connect with my students. And also through the viewing of Erikson's theories and the stages that all students will go through, however, maybe not all at the same time, I will be able to evaluate the stages at which each student are currently at. Something negative that had happened to Elena was the accusations of her breaking the rules and stealing at a young age, which helped her, as she said, toe the line, which informed and confirmed a wave of good behaviour within her, and forced her into close work with her teachers, which assisted in shaping the person and the job that Elena has solidified in her. Burnett said, criticism has nonetheless been directed towards the fact that multiculturalism has a tendency to fall back on race as the basis for ethnic identity, which, when reflecting on my own and hearing about Lena's personal experience at school, we can see that multiculturalism is beginning to take a more prevalent place in our society, and building teachers' critical consciousness as well as their students. By assisting people in becoming culturally competent, we can demonstrate a mixture of cultural understanding and self-awareness, and begin to expand and develop one's understanding of diversity and all the dimensions that come with it, whether that be geography, education, work, someone's age, their sexual preference, their race, their disabilities, gender, and the religion they follow. The goal as a future teacher is, as Chipotle put it, to allow my students to view all people with dignity, seeing them as worthy of love and deserving of basic human rights. Through my own personal experience at school, being a middle to high class student who wasn't short for any money and had a very strong social connection with the community and connections to work, I was not short of any cultural capital. And my democratic values were strengthened by most of my teachers, allowing me to see the freedom of religion and give mutual respect and embrace tolerance with all of my students, fellow students, I should say, and hopefully bring that towards my own pedagogy as a teacher. One thing that Elena said that was very life-changing in her life and her schooling life to be particular was attending university. It was a big step for her. The difference in university life and the level of education that was given allowed her to decide whether she wanted to continue in the science field or become a worker with her father. This positive aspect was very good, and she began to see the result of the relationships that she had between people of different color, and become aware of the racism that is surrounded by people of different race while at university. As Chipotle said, students with an emerging critical conscience see difference and value diversity, usually as a result of relationships with people of color. They become aware of racism, but do not know what to do about it, and often experience discomfort, shame, guilt, and anger. Elena was told at university that she had a potential to grow and become a self-fulfilled person. This was Maslow's theory, the stage of self-actualization, which is just under self-transcendence. And by beginning to care for other people of a different race, she began to accept people's cultural capital and begin to step forward from self-actualization into self-transcendence. The similarity between me and Elena is when I attended TAFE, I was just stepping into self-actualization and beginning to see my full potential as a person. And I decided as a person to become a teacher and to spread an understanding of democratic values to help bring forth a period of social justice, negate othering, and shatter people's views of different dimensions of diversity to bring forth a more multicultural society in future students. Thank you for listening.